Welcome everybody. Here we are once again. Welcome. Bigger gong. No, bigger one. No gong. I want a bigger gong. No, why? Okay, welcome everybody. This is the Leo Zagami Show with Leo Zagami in our new format, Illuminati News. Yes, Illuminati News. Okay, we have to thank our sponsors that make this show possible. I want to thank all the people who followed us last week and also the people who are supporting our show. Thanks to the purchase of my books as well as my wife's books, and also our sponsors who are actually donating on GoFundMe or Cash App to make this show possible at least once a week. So thanks to Ellen Sucatre, Margot Rosata Minta, and Daniel Estes. We like to thank our sponsors with an applause. It's a kind of a lo-fi applause, but a beautiful applause. Lo-fi because it's a little bit pixels. We like the pixels. We like to see those claps with the pixels. This week, Davos, of course, took the center stage also for the mainstream media, but most of the interest was focused on Greenland, of course. Greenland. Why does Trump want Greenland? One of the main reasons is the rare earth minerals, which are also used for developing the AI and robotics, which instead took the center stage with Elon Musk. Elon Musk made a surprise appearance at the World Economic Forum in Davos on Thursday. It was his first ever appearance at an event which he usually criticized for many years, indicating it like it was an unelected world government. I guess that both him and Trump have joined the unelected world government because he was actually engaging in a very important conversation because of the topics he took with the BlackRock CEO and Sabbatean Frankist Larry Fink. I've dedicated an article to Larry Fink, and there will be also an article dedicated to today's topic in the coming hours on leozagami.com, because this week also we are still at 1% only of the Epstein files, and we still are left in the dark regarding the other 99%. Millions of files that should be made public and instead being kept from being viewed, analyzed, studied. And this week it was actually a Obama-nominated judge that made things even more complicated because he rejected a request. So it's not really about one political side against the other. It's about the whole swamp wanting this whole Epstein thing to not see the light. Remember that. It's not a political thing. It's a swamp thing. And this week, in an article that I published, I also discussed the launch of this new YouTube channel, which is not really having, I think, the interest it should have. I mean, it has only 14,000, a little over 14,000 subscribers, and this is the new channel, Free Speech, launched by Major Taylor Greene, which is very interesting because she has an insider perspective which is useful, absolutely. So check it out if you can. Going forward into what this Elon Musk, the SpaceX and Tesla chief, discussed at Davos, it was a mix of bad humor, I would say, long-term ambitions like going to Mars, and of course business updates on his various successes, and he shared his outlook on the future of humanity linked to AI and robotics. Remember, I made a trilogy, a very important trilogy, which starts with this book, which actually has a citation of Elon Musk right here at the very start. It's volume 6.66. And this is a very important book that connects the demonic with the AI and the robotics and what the Vatican also behind the scenes is discussing. Then I published a book which is actually dedicated to the occult side of the Great Reset, so the occult side of the Davos posse, and the populist roots of the Great Reject that we populists hope it will arise at some point. And this book has been a great success, I must say, one of my bestsellers. And in this book, I talk about the singularity moment. Singularity moment, which was discussed by Elon Musk on between January 5th and 6th. Elon Musk posted on his social network X, "We have entered the singularity." And this is a very important statement. And he said that 2026 is the year of the singularity, a concept he then repeated in Davos, where he talked about the rapid advancement in AI. He obviously has a positive outcome regarding artificial intelligence and robotics, because he's of course somebody who's also involved in the making of both. But he has predicted that by the end of 2026, or at the latest 2027, the AI will become smarter than any individual. And then he predicted always in Davos that by 2030 or 2031, AI could surpass the collective intelligence of all humanity combined. This is an important moment, I repeat. Let's check out a little bit of what Elon Musk has discussed on Thursday at Davos. This conversation is... And so let's extract a couple of interesting passages from it.
That's better. Thank you.
At the beginning,
We're gonna make this
he
interesting.
also seems to kind of downplay the whole Greenland thing, or at least he finds it almost amusing.
That was not a large applause. Start again. That's better. Thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna make this interesting.
How many quotes are you going to want that are going to be after this session?
I don't know. I mean, 5.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. It's great to see everybody here. It's been an amazing week here in Davos. Hopefully everybody saw that we are having conversations here. Hopefully everybody agrees. There are some conversations that we may disagree. There's many conversations that we may have agreed, but through those conversations, and I think today's result with a peace agreement earlier today, the World
Peace Agreement.
Economic Forum is here to have those conversations, to have understandings, and also resolution. So
let's remember who these people are. I mean, even to engage with Davos should be a crime. To actually go there and be part of it, like both Trump and Musk have done, it's just This is part of this globalist governance, which in turn is proposing, of course, the rise of cyber Satan, which is the AI and the robotics. And what Elon Musk discussed was rather interesting, because I want to summarize it a little bit so you understand the importance of what is being discussed. I mean, Elon Musk, I repeat, mixed some bad humor, with his outlook for humanity. But in his talk, Musk predicted that ubiquitous AI robotics, specifically humanoid robots, will lead to an explosion in the global economy and the abundance of goods and services. So he sees technology a little bit like A.G. Wells, who we remember because he of course launched the New World Order. H.G. Wells, on the contrary of the author of 1984, Orson Welles, H.G. Wells had a completely different outlook, an outlook that was positive. George Orwell, George Orwell, he was instead totally contrary to this technology, which could be used for dystopian reasons. So welcome to the Leo Zagami Show. In the meantime, I see that you are all tuning in. Thanks again to our sponsors, Ellen Sucatre, Marco Sadaminta, Daniel Estes today. And let's hope we can build up also some extra shows during the week. But often, I reply to such a request by simply stating, guys, I have sponsors for the Italian shows 4 times a week. I do shows for them, but we have sponsors. We have really a few and scarce sponsors for our English-speaking show. So we have to focus on what works out here in this household. And at the moment, I'm also going back to write a new book that will probably see the light by the spring. It's going to be a new book, of course, has a completely different topic from my last book. But my last book is still working out great, and is the book called The Rise and Fall of a Frankenstein Monster, dedicated to Jeffrey Epstein, a topic that used to be, on the top list for all conservatives and people following Donald J. Trump, and suddenly it's like almost considered something you shouldn't discuss, when instead, this is an important topic still. And this week we had also other people complaining about Ghislaine Maxwell privileges in jail. So there has been more discussions about the fact that she is treated with preferential treatment. An article appeared in the New York Times. Of course, it was the Democrats that said something about it. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be a political thing. Everybody should be against pedophilia, and everybody should be against a condemned pedophile like Ghislaine Maxwell. Here in this article, it says, Democrats seek Maxwell prison visit, citing preferential treatment. House Democrats told the Attorney General that more than a dozen whistleblowers had come forward with reports of Ghislaine Maxwell receiving perks in prison. I said it even in my book, that she was living a privileged life since she moved to this new prison setup, and this, of course, confirms it once again. Please share this video on your social network of choice so we can get more views and more people following us. And let's follow some clips of this discussion that was made possible at the World Economic Forum, with Elon Musk presenting the future governance of cyber Satan and robotics without really hiding anything.
Actually, my prediction is in the benign scenario of the future that the robots will actually make so many robots and AI that they will actually saturate all human needs. Meaning you won't be able to even think of something to ask the robot for at a certain point. Like there will be such an abundance of goods and services, because my prediction is that there'll be more robots than people. So,
But how do you then have human purpose in that scenario?
yeah, I mean, there's nothing's perfect, but I mean, it is a necessary. Like, you can't have both. You can't have work that has to be done and amazing abundance for all.
Yes. Just to remind our audience that Ghislaine Maxwell used to hang out with Elon Musk. In reality, we also know that Jeffrey Epstein was a scientist of sorts behind the development of the software that makes possible for Sophia the robot to, answer Robotics was connected to Jeffrey Epstein, who even discussed this invention of Sophia the robot 3 years before it was actually launched formally as such. Though Hanson Robotics, after tried to hide what the position of Jeffrey Epstein in regards to Sophia the robot, it's a matter of public knowledge that he financed the actual software that makes Sophia the robot go around and talk and be a smart robot that we all know is involved also in public activities and so on. However, let's not forget also the connection of Jeffrey Epstein with Peter Thiel. So Palantir, which is another big brother tool of the time. Let's continue with Elon Musk at Davos.
Because if it's work that has to be done, then you, and only some people can do it, then you can't have abundance.
Then it's narrow.
Yeah, it's narrow, yeah. Exactly. So, but if you have billions of humanoid robots, and I think there will be, I think everyone on Earth is going to have one and going to want one, because who wouldn't want a robot to, assuming it's very safe, watch over your kids, take care of your pet. If you have elderly parents,
take care of your kids, take care of your pets, take care of your elderly parents. Well, actually, you must really not love neither your kids, your pets, or your elderly parents if you give them in the hand of a robot, because I will never give my kid or my elderly parent or my pet in the hands of a robot. I mean, I will not even imagine a scenario like that. Why would you even have a kid if you then let the robot take care of it? Or why should you even have a pet if you then let the robot take care of it? It doesn't really, but for Elon, all this is very normal and it's very plausible, and it's what the future is all about.
A lot of friends of mine said they have elderly parents. It's very difficult to take care of them.
Expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive, and there just aren't enough people to take care of the.
So because it's expensive, let's give them in the hands of a Terminator robot that might put their life in jeopardy. I mean, it's insane what he's saying here.
There aren't enough young people to take care of the old people.
Right.
So if you had a robot that could take care of and protect an elderly parent, I think that would be great. That would be an amazing thing to have. I think we will have those things. So, I mean, overall, I'm very optimistic about the future. I think we're headed for a future of amazing abundance, which is very cool. And definitely, we are in the most interesting time in history. I think there's more.
A future of amazing abundance. For Elon Musk, this means having the robots doing everything. I mean, it's like I wrote about A.G. Wells, who believes science and technology will lead to a better unified world. And now that doesn't seem to be the case. It's actually dividing the world more and more. I mean, having social networks has not made our social life much better. Let's be honest. Now, I understand his emphasis because he is himself involved in the production of robots he wants to sell, these humanoid robots. But the fact that he said that these robots will not only outsmart, but will become more than humans, and that will make all work obsolete. I mean, imagine millions of human beings who no longer produce anything. What are they going to do? Are they going to just sit on their couch watching Netflix? I mean, this is insane, guys. This is dangerous. This is going to manifest in the biggest nightmare for humanity ever.
A more interesting time in history.
So. Can you and I reverse aging in this new history?
And then, of course, the guy, I think, here, the Sabbathean Frankist, is talking about reverse aging because their dream is always immortality. Yeah, let's never forget that.
Or are we going to see it?
I haven't put much time into the aging stuff. I do think it is a very solvable problem. Like you can. I think when we figure out what causes aging, I think we'll find it's incredibly obvious. It's not a subtle thing. The reason I say it's not a subtle thing is because all the cells in your body, with some pretty much age at the same rate. I've never seen someone with an old left arm and a young right arm ever in my life. So why is that? That means that there must be a clock, a synchronizing clock,
right,
that is synchronizing across 35 trillion cells in your body. There is some benefit to death, by the way. It's like there's a reason why
there is some benefit to death. So here, strangely enough, we find Elon Musk almost defending the fact that you have to get older, which is a natural thing. But his justification is also because our society will actually manifest in a different way if we never get older. However, he admits that technology is aiming into that direction.
We don't actually have a longer lifespan because if people do live forever for a very long time, I think there's some risk of an ossification of society, of things just getting kind of locked in place, it just may become stultifying, just not lack vibrancy. But that said, do I think we'll figure out ways to extend life and maybe even reverse aging? I think that's highly likely.
Yeah, but probably they will do it only for themselves, for the elite. It will cost too much for the ordinary folk. Actually, they will eliminate the ordinary folk. We know that one of the main plans that was outlined in the Georgia Guidestones was to diminish the whole population of the Earth. And we also know how they eliminated the Georgia Guidestones at one point during the pandemic, because probably that was something I always say that, but this is a point that needs to be reiterated over and over again. I talk about the Georgia Guidestones in volume 2 of my Confessions. They were in the highest hills of Herbert County in Georgia, and it was a huge granite monument that was also known as the American Stone Age. And there was definitely a sort of prophetic message of the Georgia Guidestones. And I indicated in volume 2 of my confessions that 2020 was the turning point. And in fact, I also indicated there will be a virus that will keep you locked up. Remember that volume 2 of my confessions was published a long time ago. So it kind of like, it's interesting to see, we are celebrating this year 20 years of my Illuminati confessions. They started online in 2006. Then I started publishing in Japan, then Italy, then in 2014 and 15, I started in the English language. And in 2016, I published Confessions of an Illuminati, Volume 2, the time of revelation and tribulation leading up to 2020, which was a turning point. In fact, it was from 2020 onwards that we started to hear the word Great Reset.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
In the future that you talk about, the AI models, autonomous machines, rockets, depends on massive increases in compute, massive increases in energy, expensive energy, manufacturing scale. What are the bottlenecks to get there? And that, once again, with all that expenditures, again, how can we make sure that it's broad and not narrow?
I just think the natural thing is it's going to be very broad because AI companies will seek as many customers as they possibly can, and the cost of AI is already very low, and it's plummeting every year. I mean, the cost of AI is almost meaningfully changing on a month-to-month basis.
There's open models now everywhere. Yeah.
Yes, there's open models. And the open models only lag. They're maybe a year behind.
Right.
The sort of closed models. So I think the AI companies will seek as many customers as possible, which means they'll provide AI to the world.
But the cost of getting to there, the compute, the chips, the fab, the powering, that to me, what are the those are huge.
The limiting factor. Yeah, I think the limiting factor for AI deployment is fundamentally electrical power.
It's right. It's energy.
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing the rate of AI chip production increase exponentially, but the rate of electricity being brought online is 3%,
4% a year.
Yeah.
Max.
Yeah, it's clear that we're very soon, maybe even later this year, we'll be producing more chips than we can turn on. Except for China. China's growth in electricity is tremendous.
They're building 100 gigawatts of nuclear as we speak.
Actually, solar is the biggest thing in China. So
Solar, but solar has some limitations for Elon, and in the end, the solution is to go out in space and have these data centers, as even Jeff Bezos has said. In any case, I was picking up volume 2 of my confessions in regards to the Georgia Guidestones, because there is definitely some interesting elements in what was divulged on the Georgia Guidestones, and the fact that they were eliminated suddenly in the middle of the pandemic, as you can see from this brief clip that comes from the moment in which they got them to explode, and they never reconstructed them.
Shows the moment the Georgia Guidestones in Elbert County blew up. This is surveillance video sent by the GBI from just after 4 o'clock this morning. Video also shows what appears to be a silver or gray car speeding away from the scene. Right now, local, state, and federal agencies are working to determine who's behind that explosion.
Who is behind? Why they never found anybody? Huh?
The attraction was unveiled in 1980 and has drawn many people over the years. The man whose company maintains the site says vandalism has happened before, but never like this.
We actually had to install cameras several years ago after the vandalism got so bad. But, it does break my heart. If you don't like the message that was written on them, that's understandable. That's your prerogative. But, there's no reason to take it away from other people that might.
Crews demolished the remaining stones over safety concerns. If you know anything about the explosion, authorities ask that you come forward. You can remain anonymous.
What an incredible story that was never solved. I mean, the Georgia Guidestones were destroyed by somebody who is still an unknown individual who detonated this explosive device at the monument on July 6, 2022. The investigation is still open, but I repeat, nobody has yet found the person responsible because, of course, it was the same people, the mysterious people who actually financed the construction of this incredible monument were probably behind the destruction of it. They didn't want anybody to have an idea of what was going on, especially after the pandemic erupted. The Georgia Guidestone went under a new scrutiny. And so from 2022 onwards, we never had any answers in regards to the destruction of this 19 feet, 3 inches, 5 meters 87, that is tall, 6 granite slabs weighing a total of 746 pounds. Incredible structure, an incredible structure, which I talk about in this book because, of course, there is elements also connected to the Illuminati, to the Rosicrucians, the Freemasons, in this mysterious Robert C. Christian, who was the guy who approached the Elberson Granite Finishing Company in 1979 to start this project, which was launched in 1980. And now we are in 2026. We are living George Orwell's 1984, like I said in the past, or H.G. Wells' New World Order, and the guy who is the richer person on the planet, who wants to also lead the discovery of Mars, is telling us that AI is reaching the moment of singularity. Now, this is important because I've talked extensively about the moment of singularity as the Omega moment that was first discussed by Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin was a Jesuit who wrote very much about topics even regarding what we can claim at the time was probably seen as science fiction, but it was actually about his vision of the future and of the artificial intelligence, of the internet with the noosphere, that then eventually triggered his idea of the Omega moment, which is then the moment of singularity, discussed many times by Ray Kurzweil, somebody who I've also discussed extensively in volume 7. But it's also something that I've discussed in volume 9 of my Confessions. Remember, I did this trilogy dedicated to Cyber Satan, volume 6.66, volume 7, and volume 9. And you will find a lot of the answers to the problems of the future in these 3 books. But let's go and analyze further the moment of singularity, because it's an important moment, the moment of singularity. It's the moment in which we'll be outsmarted by the machine.
It feels like we're in the midst of the singularity. Do you agree that we're actually in the midst of it right now, or are we gonna have to wait for some other point to get there?
One difference of my own perspective versus everybody else is Ray Kurzweil, the inventor and futurist who's been working in the field of artificial intelligence.
Ray Kurzweil, author, inventor, and futurist.
I've been now in AI for 61 years, which is actually a record.
If you look at your 120-odd predictions from 30-odd years ago, only 3 that were wrong.
Your first prediction, as you said, that you released in 1989 was that we're going to reach human-level AI by 2029.
The next 10 years will get us to my definition of singularity, which is we'll be at least 1,000 times more intelligent.
What is most exciting to you, and what are you anticipating most excitedly in the next, say, year or two?
We'll have supercomputers, but we'll also be merging with them, so we're going to be made a lot more intelligent than we are today.
When?
That's going to happen at the same time for everybody.
Welcome to the Leo Zagami Show with Leo Zagami. And here we are thanking our sponsors once again who make this show possible. You can join them with a donation on GoFundMe or Cash App. You can do it anonymously or publicly, that you can decide with a note, of course. For today, we want to thank Ellen Sucatre, Margot Rosata Minta, Daniel Estes. And the subject of today is, of course, Elon Musk for the first time in Davos, a place he hated very much before he became part of the elite himself. He's fully part of the elite nowadays. He's part of that elite, of course, that aided his rise, meteoric rise, which of course is in line also with not only Tesla and X, but especially with the SpaceX, the company which he's using to conquer not only the satellite scene around the globe, but also in the future he hopes to go to Mars, as we know, and maybe colonize Mars.
I believe China's production capacity on solar is 1,500 gigawatts a year, and they're deploying over 1,000 gigawatts a year of solar. Now, for continuous solar load, you divide that by roughly, 4 or 5. Call it that's around 250 gigawatts of steady state power paired with batteries. And that's a very big number. That's half of the average power usage in the U.S.
Right.
So U.S. power usage on average is 500 gigawatts. Right. China, just in solar, just in solar that can provide steady state power and batteries, can do half of the U.S. electricity output per year just with solar. Solar is by far the biggest source of energy. And actually, when you look beyond, or even on Earth, but certainly beyond Earth, the sun rounds up to 100% of all energy. This is an important thing to consider. So the sun is 99.8% of the mass of the solar system. Jupiter is about 0.1%, and everything else is miscellaneous. Now, even if you were to burn Jupiter in a thermonuclear reactor, the amount of energy produced by the sun would still round up to 100%, because Jupiter is only 0.1%. If you teleported 3 more Jupiters into our solar system, and burnt 3 more Jupiters and everything else in the solar system, the sun's energy would still round up to 100%. So it's really all about the sun, and that's why.
That's why they want to, of course, take the energy of the sun to then develop further their AI and their data centers, which absorb an enormous quantity of energy.
One of the things we'll be doing with SpaceX within a few years is launching solar-powered AI satellites.
Right.
Because the space is really the source of immense power, and then you don't need to take up any room on Earth. There's so much room in space, and you can scale to enormous. You can scale to I think ultimately hundreds of terawatts a year.
You and I have had these conversations before, but why don't you tell the audience what would it take for the United States, and what type of geography would it take to have that solar field to electrify the United States? And then let me ask a question: why aren't we doing it?
Yeah. So I mean, I guess a rough way to think about it is 100 miles by 100 miles, or call it, I don't know, 160 kilometers by 160 kilometers of solar is enough to power the entire United States. So, 100 mile by 100 mile area is, I mean, you could take basically a small corner of Utah, Nevada, New Mexico. Obviously, you wouldn't want it all in one place, but it is a very small percentage of the area of the U.S. to generate all of the electricity that the U.S. uses.
So this is about the electricity that will be required, of course, for this machinery. But the important part also of Elon's speech touched on robotics and AI, the fact that we will have more robots than humans, the fact that we are reaching the singularity moment. And that is the moment that Kurzweil discussed for many years. And it's like we had so many discussions regarding the moment in which the AI will suddenly match our intelligence and then overtake our intelligence. And at that point, of course, it will be able to replicate itself independently. And this diabolical step of the New World Order will create an even more stringent prison planet around us. Ray Kurzweil said, quote, "We will spend increasing portions of our time in virtual environments and will be able to have any type of desired experience with anyone, real or simulated, in virtual reality." End of quote. Now, that means that people like Kurzweil, but we have seen it also with Mark Zuckerberg working very much with Meta, even if at times seems like a lost cause, on the creation of a virtual reality, because once they take over these robots, this AI, the whole of the planet is a prison planet, but we humans, segregated on our couches, in our homes, they want to lock us in a virtual cage, in a virtual reality, a bit like in the film Matrix. You know what that means. So it's about really understanding that Trump's, of course, compulsively engaging about Greenland is mostly because he wants the rare earth from Greenland. He wants to take over what is a strategic resource that can be, of course, also used by Russia or China as a platform to potentially invade the United States. But in the future, people also have to understand that Greenland is not only a nice something that it's full of ice and is not really suitable for humans, because robots will not have the same limitation of humans, and they will be capable of working full time, even with the temperatures you have in Greenland. In the meantime, of course, they want to further develop the potential of the moon, where there is also apparently a lot of resources. Now, NASA has just announced they're about to send astronauts in a spacecraft, which apparently not everyone thinks is safe. This is, of course, very odd, thinking that we went allegedly on the moon a long time ago, and now we seem to have all these problems to go back to the moon. This was the announcement that was made this week by NASA. They were all happy about this historic moment.
Fasten your seatbelt, space fans. NASA's Might Artemis II moon rocket is now at its launch pad and getting ready for liftoff. Madison Scarpino has the far-out details. Madison.
Hey, Kevin. Yeah, this is kicking off the final preparations to send humans to the moon for the first time since the 70s. It will be the Artemis II mission, and NASA's administrator says it's a historic moment.
This is the start of a very long journey. Now, we ended our last human exploration of the moon in Apollo 17, the 17th mission. Now, I hope someday my kids are going to be watching, maybe decades into the future, the Artemis 100 mission.
Here's a time-lapse video of that massive Artemis II rocket being transported to the launch pad at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. It's 14 million pounds altogether, and it was a 4-mile trek that took nearly 12 hours to arrive, since it could only move at less than 1 mile per hour. NASA says engineers and technicians will now start preparing for a test of fueling operations and countdown procedures, which the agency says are essential steps before the first crewed Artemis mission. Artemis II will carry 3 American NASA astronauts and 1 Canadian Space Agency astronaut around the moon for about 10 days. Now, those astronauts said yesterday they were ready for the trip, and they even talked about some tough conversations they've been having with family.
On a walk with my kids, I told them, here's where the will is, here's where the trust documents are, and if anything happens to me, here's what's going to happen to you. And that is a part of this life.
I love talking to my husband. He's been very inquisitive about the actual technical aspects of the mission. I really have to make sure he knows that it's not like the International Space Station where we can just make a phone call. So he's not going to be able to call me and ask where something is in the house. He's going to have to find it. That's been a big one for us.
Okay, so that is what the astronauts have said, but like I stated earlier, there is some doubts on the security of this spacecraft. Let's hope it all goes great. In the meantime, we know that both China and Russia are cooperating with further developing a base on the moon, even a nuclear plant on the moon. Everybody wants to use the moon as a launch pad to then go to Mars. And this is all reminiscent of Stanley Kubrick's 2001 Space Odyssey and Arthur C. Clarke, of course, a novel that inspired it. It was in that movie that we actually encountered the AI and the negative side of the AI. You remember? You remember, my friends? That was it. HAL 9000, the kind of rebel AI.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
What's the problem?
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
And what is that problem?
This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Hal.
I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me.
Never plan to disconnect the AI because in real life, in recent years, we have seen the AI ready to do all kinds of things to not get disconnected. The governance of Cyber Satan was outlined by Elon Musk in Davos. That's rather clear. It is the first time that Elon Musk is in Davos because we are reaching the moment of singularity, as he announced at the beginning of the year. That will be a moment of great change in human history. Keep in mind what I'm stating today is going to be a great moment of change, a turning point in the history of humanity.
We told you that in just a few decades, artificial intelligence could surpass human intelligence, forever changing life as we know it. This isn't science fiction. It's the future that renowned futurist Ray Kurzweil has been predicting for years.
Definition of the Turing test is not precise. Amplify our brain with computers directly, which will happen in the 2030s. That's going to keep growing. It's another whole theme, which is the exponential growth of computing power. And that doesn't mean sending very soft, squishy creatures like humans.
Yeah.
Intelligence, masses of nanobots, which can then go out and colonize these other parts of the universe.
Technological singularity. Kurzweil predicts that by 2029, AGI will be here. And by 2045, we'll reach singularity when...
Now, Elon Musk is actually stating that will happen even 2 years in advance to what Ray Kurzweil predicted. He says, he claimed in Davos that this moment will happen in 2027, while instead in 2030, 2031, that will be even a further step into the singularity when only one AI will surpass the brain capacity of the whole of humankind combined.
AI surpasses human intelligence, leading to an explosion of technological progress beyond anything we can imagine. But what if this timeline is just the public version of a far more advanced reality? Whistleblowers and leaked documents suggest that behind closed doors, AI has already surpassed key AGI milestones. A leaked Google memo hinted at breakthroughs too powerful to be disclosed, while insiders from OpenAI and DeepMind claim that secret AI models are operating beyond human control. Some even speculate that classified government projects are testing AI-human integration years ahead of schedule. If true, then the singularity isn't decades away. It may already be happening, hidden in the shadows of corporate secrecy and military research.
So basically what Elon Musk has stated in Davos is closer to reality than we think. I mean, it's confirming also what has been discussed in this clip, that behind the scenes at the governmental and military level, such technological advances already exist.
Kurzweil's predictions and accuracy. Ray Kurzweil has a notable track record of accurately predicting technological advancements. In his 1990 book, The Age of Intelligent Machines, Kurzweil anticipated that a computer would defeat a human chess champion before the year 2000, a prediction realized in 1997 when IBM's Deep Blue triumphed over Garry Kasparov. Kurzweil also foresaw the rapid expansion of the internet. At a time when there were only 2.6 million users worldwide, he predicted that the internet would become an integral part of daily life, providing access to vast networks of information. He forecasted that by 2020, AI would be capable of passing the Turing test in limited scenarios, which we're now seeing with models like ChatGPT and Gemini.
Definition of the Turing test is not precise. We're going to have people claiming that the Turing test has been solved, and people are saying that GPT-4 actually passes it, some people. So it's going to be like maybe 2 or 3 years where people start claiming, and then they continue to claim, and finally everybody will accept it. So it's not like it happens in one day.
While some of his forecasts, such as the extent of speech recognition technology, were not fully realized by that time, many others were accurate. Kurzweil has assessed his own predictive accuracy, claiming an 86% success rate. In his self-analysis, he reviewed 147 predictions and found that 115 were entirely correct. 12 were essentially correct, 17 were partially correct, and only 3 were wrong. Looking ahead, he also predicts that advancements in biotechnology and nanotechnology will lead to radical life extension, potentially allowing humans to achieve longevity escape velocity, where life expectancy increases faster than aging.
So there is always this discussion that goes along. You know, you have the AI, the robotics, and then, boom, the life extension. And all three of these things were discussed, as you saw in Elon Musk speech at Davos. This speech that wasn't even announced, and suddenly here we have Musk in Davos. Musk, who always claimed to hate Davos because they were like the shadow world government. Instead, now suddenly they're all friends with Larry Fink, who says we have discussed many times, so they must know each other. And now we are, of course, also viewing Ray Kurzweil, who has been one of the people who has predicted how this whole scenario will manifest. And I've discussed also in volume 7 the position of Ray Kurzweil, but also the work of that Jesuit called Teilhard de Chardin, who talked about the omega point, when humans will be getting, they were getting closer to the omega point with the aid of computers and related technology, but when they will reach the omega point, it will be the final step, just like singularity, and that singularity is that truly major evolutionary step in mankind, the moment in which we will cease to be Homo sapiens and we will become something different, maybe closer to the transhumanists have envisioned, that human that gradually merges with the machine.
Get to the point where we have longevity escape velocity in good shape. I take maybe 80 pills a day and some injections and so on. It's not that far off. If you're diligent, I think we'll get there by 2029.
While some of Kurzweil's predictions have been met with skepticism, his track record demonstrates a remarkable ability to anticipate technological trends.
I was asked to make a prediction of when would we see AGI, artificial general intelligence, and so I figured that this chart would continue, which it has, and I figured we'd need about 1 trillion calculations per second to do AGI, so I estimated 2029.
And it seems like it was pretty much correct, maybe 1 year more, 1 year less, so 2 years more, 2 years less. Like we stated in regards to Elon Musk, he claims maybe 2027 will be the year we really reach that point. In volume 7, I also discuss how the Vatican has been involved with a series of conferences on how to develop the AI in a way that is favorable, of course, to the Jesuit elite. The challenge of artificial intelligence for human society and the idea of human person was, in fact, the title of a meeting held at the Pontifical Council for Culture, and this was already in 2000 and I think in 2021. So now we're talking about 4-5 years ago even. And also the AI can reproduce consciousness. The AI can become part of religion. And there is already those who have unfortunately merged the teaching of Jesus with an hypothetical way of talking to Jesus through the AI, which is in itself a monstrosity.
That was met with a lot of skepticism. Stanford had actually been monitoring my predictions.
So some of his predictions were met with skepticism, but now that they are amplified also by Elon Musk, who seems to confirm them in Davos, well, we are in front of the feared governance of cyber Satan and the robotics. Thanks so much for following us today for our weekly show. Please share this video with your friends and family. Thanks again to our sponsors, Ellen Sucatre, Margot Rosada Minta, Daniel Estes. If you want to join them, you can do it either anonymously or you can do it, of course, publicly like they do. But one things you can do also to support us, as usual, is the purchase of my books. And for today's show, I particularly suggest you go and check volume 6.66, volume 7, as well as volume 9. Don't miss the show also next week. We will have a lot of other useful information for you. 20 years of Illuminati Confessions. We started in the fall of 2006. We are still here in 2026, trying to make people aware of this new world order disorder.
Illuminati want my mind, soul, and my body. Secret society.
See you next week.